Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a live show. Manchester United to play a 4-3-3 tonight. Ruben Amorim to change formations for a 4-3-3. This is the breaking news coming in from the very credible Laurie Whitwell that Manchester United have trialled a 4-3-3 in preparation for Bournemouth. A significant amount of training has been dedicated to the team lining up in that formation. But the question is, who's playing? Because when you think 4-3-3, you think wingers. And when you think wingers, you think Ahmad and Mbeumo are the only natural wingers at the club. We might be losing the only natural wingers at the club. So is this the time to change to 4-3-3? Or could Ahmad and Mbeumo be playing tonight? We're going to talk about Manchester United's lineup versus Bournemouth, because a lot of fans have been asking for Amorim to change. I did a video last week where Amorim said he's going to have to adapt, and there were suggestions and rumours behind the scenes that he was going to go to a 4-3-3. But what are we meant to expect? Some people say that he's not adapting at all. People are saying he will not adapt. I mean, he could change formation, but is he going to adapt his approach? Because I've said this many times. Amorim and Glasner played the same formation, but Glasner has a very different approach to Amorim. If we play a 4-3-3 but with the same approach, it's not going to be a huge adaptation or a huge change, because there's different ways you can play a 4-3-3. Burnley would play a different way in a 4-3-3 to Real Madrid. We play a different way in a 3-5-2-1 to Crystal Palace in a 3-5-2-1. It's not just about the formation change, it's about the way that we do it. But I will say this, some people saying he won't play a 4-3-3. I think he is going to play a 4-3-3 if that's how we've been training and that's what he wants to do. My only thing is, I want to see a midfield 3. I think our midfield is better in a 3. I think our fullbacks are better in a 4. My only concern is, and I don't want to be negative because I've always wanted to see us switch to a back 4, and this isn't me trying to be negative, but why go to a 4-3-3 when you need wingers as soon as you lose your only 2 wingers? Do you know what I mean? Like, Cunha isn't a natural winger. Mount isn't a natural winger. They're more 10s that can play on the wing. Xerxes more of a 10. Like, when you actually think of players that are actually wingers, not 10s, it's Ahmad and Mbeumo. When you play a 4-3-3, you play with wingers out wide, not 10. So my only concern is, why are we switching to a 4-3-3 when we're going to lose both wingers? That is my only concern. Is it because Lacey's going to play right wing because he's probably the third choice winger? Do we have Ahmad and Mbeumo tonight, and are we trialling Ahmad and Mbeumo? I mean, that would be interesting to see. Is it going to be a 4-3-3 in formation, but actually the same approach to what Amorim's doing in a back 5, which is what worries me? I don't mind going to a 4-3-3, but if Amorim lines up the 4-3-3 with the same tactical approach as he lines up the 3-5-2-1, there's elements of concern there for sure. Guys, I'm also very aware that I do look rough today. Like, I'm not going to lie. Your girl is ill. I'm aware I look rough today. It's fine. We'll wake up. It's just been one of those Christmassy weekends where I've had too much to drink, too many late nights. I've definitely caught something. Yeah, I'm aware I look rough. Mount Sesko Cunha during AFCON. Do you think it'll be a Mount Sesko Cunha front 3? I think it could be a Mount Sesko Cunha front 3. That will be interesting to see how we line up, I think. Because there's 2 ways I think we line up, and I'm going to show you this now. So Man United are playing a 4-3-3 today versus Bournemouth. Ruben Amorim is set to change. Now, this has come from Laurie Whitwell, who's very credible. So unless this is a big game from Man United to try and throw off Bournemouth, I'm not sure. But I think if we play a 4-3-3, I don't know if we're going to have Delo or... Sorry, I don't know if we'll have Dorgo or Shaw at left back. Because we could have Shaw left centre back because Leach needs to be rested. Because that's another thing I'm trying to think of. Even 4-3-3 is shambles game management either way. I mean, I've wanted us to go to a 4-3-3 just with Ahmad and Mbeumo in the team. I guarantee he's not going to play a 4-3-3. Some people think he's going to play a 4-3-3, but it's set up with the same tactical approach as every other game, so it's not going to make a difference. I think it'll make a difference having 3 in midfield. I think having 3 in midfield will make a big difference. The only thing is, everyone's getting excited, like, oh my god, Mainoo's finally going to play. Everyone's getting excited like he's finally going to start Mainoo. when my head just goes, is a guy. He's going to finally play a midfield three, yeah? And we're going to see a guy, aren't we? We're going to see a guy over Mainoo. That's the thing that, like, I'm hoping it's Mainoo. My head tells me he's going to play a guy over Mainoo. I don't know if you saw his comments on Mainoo in the presser. So we've got Delou is going to play right back. Yoro's going to be right centre back. Lamons is going to be in goal. Bruno and Casemiro will play. It's either going to be Mainoo or Garda here, but it just makes so much more sense to play Mainoo. Sesko won't be fit enough to start, so Cunha's going to probably... So Cunha might be in the middle. I think if he plays a 4-3-3, it really depends on who's fit. Because if Ahmad and Mbeumo are available, or you've got one of Ahmad and Mbeumo, I think they play. I think if Ahmad and Mbeumo are available, they play. Like, and I think he either goes Dorgu and Shaw here. It's either Dorgu and Shaw here, or it's Leacher. But I don't think he wants to risk Leacher in a back four versus Bournemouth. I don't know. Or it's Leacher and Shaw. I think he'll play Shaw centre-back because he's still scared of risking Leacher. I don't know. Actually, I think we could see this back four. This will be the midfield. The question is the front three. Like, this could be Dorgu. We could see Aiden Heaven as well. You know, we could see Aiden Heaven. We know Mazraoui's going to AFCON. I'm going to tell you this for a fact. Mazraoui is going to AFCON. Mazraoui won't be available. We don't know about Mbeumo and Ahmad. That's what we don't know about. Unless it's actually this. Mbeumo in the middle. Ahmad on the right. Cunha on the left. I wouldn't be shocked if we see this. Sesko's not fit enough to start. So if Ahmad and Mbeumo are available, and the feeling is that Mazraoui is gone, but Ahmad and Mbeumo might be available tonight because their first match isn't for a week and there's a 7-day period, then I think we'd go with that. That's what I'd go with. I'd go with that. If I was the manager and we're playing a 4-3-3 and Ahmad and Mbeumo are available, I'd personally go with this. Myself. Someone said, you can't drop Mount. That's the question. A lot of people saying you can't drop Mount. My problem is, Mount, I think, shouldn't be dropped. Don't get me wrong. Mount shouldn't be dropped, right? If you're going off current form, Mount deserves to start. But we've seen Eric Ten Hag line up with Mount deeper, and we didn't like it. Mount's best row is a left 10 or a 10. But a 10 in a midfield 3, you're taking Bruno over Mount. A number 10 in a midfield 3, you're taking Bruno over Mount. So the question is, does Amorim go, you know what, drop Cunha for Mount? Or does he drop Mainoo for Mount? But I think it has to be one of Mainoo or Guy. Like, he could do what Ten Hag tried to do and have a midfield 3 of Casemiro, Bruno, Mount. And to be honest, this wouldn't shock me. Everyone's like, oh, Mainoo's finally going to get minutes. We're switching to a 4-3-3. There's another part of me that goes, we're switching to a 4-3-3. Watch him still play Bruno deeper. There is a part of me that thinks we're switching to a 4-3-3. Mount shouldn't be dropped. So maybe he plays Bruno deeper. But the whole point of switching to a 4-3-3 for me would be to allow Bruno to play further up. So in that case, I'd want Mainoo. So personally, myself, I'd like a 4-3-3 with Bruno further up with Mainoo in it. I just think that would work a lot better. Because I don't want Bruno deeper. I think he's a liability deeper. I think Mainoo's better deeper. Mainoo's better in build-up. But it would scream Ruben Amorim to do a 4-3-3 and have Mount as the 10. Or I mean, that wouldn't shock me. This wouldn't shock me if this was Amorim's team. Now, the big question is, if Mbeumo and Ahmad aren't available, how do we line up? Because if Mbeumo and Ahmad aren't available, then Mount is going left wing. I think Cunha is going up top. But who would go right wing? And this is where you'd say Lacey, right? Because if Ahmad and Mbeumo aren't available and Sesko can't start yet, I would say maybe Lacey, unless he goes with Xerxes. But what would be the point of putting Xerxes right wing? Mount doesn't play right wing. Cunha doesn't play right wing. Xerxes doesn't play right wing. So my only other thought process is we're doing a 4-3-3 because we've got Ahmad and Mbeumo tonight. Because if we don't have Ahmad and Mbeumo tonight, who plays right wing? Surely Shea Lacey. Surely Shea Lacey. I mean, I feel like this would be the team. This would be the team if we don't have Ahmad and Mbeumo. But I just think it would make no sense to play a 4-3-3 for the first time when you don't have any natural wingers in the squad. Like, I'm someone that's wanted Amorim to switch to a back four, but when you don't have natural wingers in the squad, it just wouldn't make sense, would it? I don't know. I think he's going to do this. I think we're going to see. I think Ahmad and Mbeumo are available, and I think Mbeumo is going to play up top, and then Sesko can come in there. I think Ahmad and Mbeumo are available. I just can't see him doing a 4-3-3 and giving Lacey a debut, because you're not going to play Xerxes right wing. Some people say Cunha or Mount could go on the right. Maybe, but it's just, I don't know. Let me share my screen. He's going to do one of these two, I think, depending on who's available. Now, I would want Bruno higher up. I think he's going to do one of those three. I don't think he's going to drop Mount. And look, Mount doesn't deserve to be dropped, but don't get me wrong. I'd rather Mainoo play where Bruno is and Bruno play where Mount is in that second formation. A lot of people saying Mainoo's going to play. A lot of people getting excited that Mainoo's going to play. I'm not confident that Mainoo's going to play. I'm not confident he's going to start Mainoo in a 4-3-3, to be honest. I'm not. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, he's finally going to play Mainoo. I don't think... I could see him still playing Bruno deeper and just playing Mount as a 10. To be honest, that's what I see happening. So, yeah, I'm not confident that he plays Mainoo, if I'm going to be completely honest. But we'll have to see there. Amorim's press conference was all about youth not taking his chances, so you could be right with Lacey. Amorim's press conference was awful. Amorim's press conference was absolutely awful. And I think there was a bit of miscommunication there. But, I mean, Amorim's press conference was worrying. Mainoo will not start. Mainoo. I mean, hopefully Mainoo starts. Something tells me he's going to play Bruno deeper and Mount 10 in a 4-3-3. Not that 4-3-3 has 10s, really. But it's more of a 4-2-3-1 with a 10. Alice, you'll be shocked when Amorim plays a 3-4-3, just rumours. Maybe it's just rumours, but I don't know if you watched my video on Wednesday last week. I did a video on Wednesday last week saying that apparently Amorim is going to change to a 4-2-3-1. I then spoke about Amorim's comments where he hinted at changing formation for the next game and said he's going to change for the next game. Laurie Whitwell, who gets inside information, is one of the best sources of information in and around Man United. This is a David Ornstein level source. Is the one coming out saying this. This hasn't come out from Indy Cala. Had this come out from Indy Cala, I'd be saying, guys, probably a load of rubbish. But Laurie Whitwell and The Athletic are as good as it gets. They're as good as it gets. And if they're saying, well, we're going to play a 4-3-3, then I'm believing it. If it's Indy Cala or someone else, then I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is a good source of information. This isn't just a news story, a news rumour. This has come from the source. The source that this has come from is one of the best connected Manchester United sources in the space. It's not, oh, United are going to play a 4-3-3, just another random news story. This is a very good source of information. So that's why I'm taking it serious. If this was Indy Cala, if this was Team Talk, if this was Facheas, then I'd be saying we've got to take it with a huge pinch of salt. But it's not. It's come from Laurie Whitwell. And he is a good source of information. Do we have a dependable DM for 4-3-3? Well, Casemiro should surely be better in a 3 than a 2. And he's been quite good in a 2 lately. So we've got Casemiro. I just think, give me Casemiro, Mainoo, Bruno, midfield 3. Give me Ahmad and Mbeumo for this game. And that would be nice to see. Some people are annoyed that Amorim's changing formation, saying he's caved to fan pressure. This is the beginning of the end. I don't know. I don't know why people are mad at this. I mean, I'm not mad about formation. It's about the approach. He could play the most negative 4-3-3 we've ever seen, and it's still crap. It's not like Amorim plays the same formation as Glasner, but we have a very different approach to Glasner and Palace. So Amorim can change formation, but if Amorim doesn't change the approach, changing formation does nothing. So you've got to remember that. Now, Laurie Whitwell said that Ruben Amorim hinted at a tactical change before the Wolves game. After the Wolves match, he mentioned needing to consider the absences of key players. The team has been practicing a 4-3-3 formation, partly to counter United's pressing. It's uncertain if he will use the 4-3-3 against Bournemouth or in future games, but that is what United have been doing in training. So he's not saying we 100% are going to play a 4-3-3, but we might not play a 4-3-3. But this has come from Laurie Whitwell, who is saying we're doing a 4-3-3 in training, and surely if we're doing a 4-3-3 in training, we're going to play a 4-3-3. Do you know what I mean? He's not saying we 100% are going to play a 4-3-3, but that is what we're doing in training. But I think if we play a 4-3-3 and we don't have Amorim and Mbeumo, surely that would be Lacey on the right wing? Surely? Why do you want to change? We've been good this season. Have we, though? If we win, we are 5th. But have we been good, or has everyone else just been really bad, and have we rode our luck at times? Because Sunderland was a good convincing win. Wolves was a good second half. Burnley, it took a last-minute penalty to beat them. Chelsea, they went down to 10 men. Brighton, we almost bottled that. Liverpool, they hit the post about 3 times, and we were pretty crap in that second half, but we found a winner. When you look at a lot of the games we won, I wouldn't say we were good. I think we had good moments, and we delivered in those good moments. You could say we were good against Arsenal and we lost. Imagine he goes to a 4-3-3 and plays Dorgu left wing. He could play Dorgu right wing. I didn't think of that. He could play Dorgu right wing. I didn't even think of that. Because Dorgu used to play right wing. I swear, if he goes to a 4-3-3 and plays Dorgu right wing, I can't. Wilcox put pressure on Amorim. He's a huge fan of the 4-3-3. Well, apparently Wilcox... and I spoke about this 2 weeks ago. I don't know how much you guys follow my channel, but if you've tuned into a lot of my live streams, you'll know on numerous occasions over the last month, I've mentioned that Jason Wilcox has told Amorim to start considering moving to a 4-3-3. For the last month, I've said that Jason Wilcox has been telling Amorim to potentially move to a 4-3-3. We've been covering that on the channel. So that'll be interesting. Amorim's going to play 4-3-3 with Dorgu at right wing, Agate in instead of Mainoo. Oh my. Oh, shall we actually go back to the formation? I don't think you would. I would be shocked. If we played a 4-3-3 and he puts Dorgu at right wing. What's the worst case at 11 that he could play? Probably Dorgu right wing. That would cause some rage. I think we're going to have Amorim and Mbeumo tonight. Dorgu right wing. Shaw left back, which would be nice to see. Dalot right back. I guess it would be Leacher and Yoro because no one else is available. Le Mans in goal. I mean, this would be the most Ruben Amorim 11 ever. Casemiro. Agate. Do you know what? Bruno. Mount. Cunha. That would be such a Ruben Amorim 11. That would be such a... Imagine if he did this. Imagine if he goes to a 4-3-3 and he goes Dorgu right wing, Agate over Mainoo. Imagine. Oh no. Dorgu left wing, Shaw right back, Dalot left back. Oh my! I don't think he'd do that. But that is quite funny, to be fair. If he'd done that, I think people would absolutely go nuts. Bear with me. Cool, just checking my phone there. Should we dive into the other news and stories then? Because there's quite a bit to talk about. In terms of Amorim's press conference, has obviously caused... it wasn't a good press conference. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. Am I? Sorry. Amorim's press conference caused a bit of a storm. And to be honest, it was dickhead comments from Amorim. I'm not going to lie. But do you know what's mad? Is Amorim said this yesterday in his press conference. Sorry. Amorim said in his press conference yesterday we'll have to adapt our way of playing a bit during AFCON. It's a good opportunity to do so because we cannot imagine playing in the same way without Ahmed and Boumo Mazraoui. So Amorim actually said yesterday he's going to adapt. And now we're being told of a 4-3-3. So maybe he is going to adapt. He'll do a 4-3-3, but it'll be the same approach as the 3-5-2-1, so it won't actually make a difference. We might just have an extra midfielder. But an extra midfielder could make a bit of a difference. It could make a bit of a difference. I mean, this was my sort of what he could also do if he had different formations. But yeah, this is the comment that's causing a stir. And it is a bit of a dumb comment from Amorim. Toby Collier is not playing at West Brom. Harry Amas is struggling in the Championship. Cheeto is not always a starter in the under-21s. I played them when people said, sack the manager. You could see I'm not worried. I want to win. If he's the right guy, we'll put him in. I think that's a bit disrespectful to the youth. Now, apparently the Harry Amas thing, he wasn't talking about Harry Amas, he was talking about Sheffield Wednesday. But I went and watched it back, and he's talking about Harry Amas. He said Harry Amas is struggling. He doesn't say Sheffield Wednesday struggling. Maybe he meant by that he's playing for a struggling side. But Harry Amas is the opposite struggling because he's winning Player of the Month award after Player of the Month award. Toby Collier was doing well on loan and then got injured. Toby Collier is not playing for West Brom because he's injured. Harry Amas is not struggling in the Championship because Harry Amas won Player of the Month for a struggling side. But he's saying Collier's not playing at West Brom, yes, because he's injured. Harry Amas is not struggling. He's doing incredibly well. He's playing for a struggling side, which apparently was miscommunication. And Cheeto's not always starting in the under-21s. So he's saying, I played these guys when you said sack the manager. And I will, and he's almost, I don't like this comment from Amorim. And the reason I don't like this comment from Amorim is because I'm like, you're throwing the youth under the bus. That's how I feel. Like, I'm sorry, it doesn't matter if you're Amorim in, you're Amorim out, if you love Amorim, if you hate Amorim. Whether you even if you love Amorim, to publicly name academy players and say, I played them last season and you guys said sack the manager. He said, I played these guys when people said sack the manager. And he calls them out name by name. He calls out 3 young players by their name, says, I played them when you said sack the manager. I want to win. It's almost like he's blaming them for us finishing 15th last season. I played them, they were rubbish, that's why we finished 15th. That feels like what he's saying. And I feel like as a Man United manager, that is completely what the club is against. That is completely against the club. Because I don't care how you feel on Amorim. Collier's doing well before his injury. Amos is doing well. Regardless of your thoughts on the manager, the comment is weird. And then he says, I give him Mainoo opportunities. Well, he's not started a game this season. So what opportunities have you given him? He then says, when we have more possession, I bring on Agate. Why would you bring on Agate when you have more possession if you want more control? It was an awful press conference. It was an awful, awful press conference. Like, Harry Amas was doing well. Like, I don't know why people have been... And now everyone who backs Amorim is hating on Amas, Collier and Mainoo and Cheeto. Like, loads of people, because they back the manager, is now hating on our youth. Hating on our youth is no way to build them up. It's not about picking Amorim or the youth. It's about realising that the youth is part of Man United's DNA. It's not about you either side with Amorim or you side with the youth, because all the people siding with Amorim are saying horrible things about our youth players, making out that they are rubbish, and that's no way to act. It's not about picking Amorim or picking the youth. It's about understanding that United's DNA is attacking football and the youth, and right now we couldn't be further from that. Now, apparently the Amas comment was taken out of context, but it's not a nice comment to make. It's not a nice comment to make, his comments on, Amas, Amorim, Cheeto and Collier. To call them out publicly, I just think is not a nice comment. It's not a nice comment. They're young lads, and I feel like Amorim has really changed lately. He's saying, I will defend the players until the end. I can lose my job before I put one player in front of the bus. Well, he's already done that. So Amorim said when he first came in, he'd never throw a player under the bus. And now he's throwing the youth under the bus just to make himself look better. You know, it's just worrying. You know, it's just worrying, to be honest. Apparently, Diogo Dalot was hurt by Amorim's decision to drop him versus Spurs and Everton, but was aware his performances hadn't been good enough this season, so he did some work one-on-one with the specialist coach. Dalot has worked on improving his position in attacking areas down the left wing and getting into the penalty area. There has been some visible improvement lately, which I agree with. So that was an interesting report by Ty Marshall there. Do you think Amorim is going to play Mainoo today? Probably not. Do you think we'll play Shea Lacey today? Probably not. But I'm saying if we don't have Ahmed and Abuma and we're playing 4-3-3, then surely you play Shea Lacey on the right. But he might play Dorgu on the right. Amorim has hinted at tactical changes all week. I'm not shocked. Amorim has lost the plot. Amorim is caving to fan pressure. Amorim changing to a 4-3-3 is the beginning of the end. That's a bit of negativity there. Amorim is losing his way. Absolute disgrace if Wilcox is telling Amorim to play a 4-3-3. I'm just looking at general comments on it. But listen, people, I only wanted to keep the live show short. Thank you all for watching today's live show. I will be back tonight with a Manchester United versus Bournemouth match reaction. See you next time. Bye.